In Parshas Matos, Reuven, Gad, and half of the tribe of Manasseh receive their portion, not in the land of Israel proper or narrowly defined, but in the Transjordan, the land on the eastern bank of the Jordan River. And if you look at the Parsha and you read it carefully, you'll notice something that's very interesting. Initially, it's only Reuven and Gad, the tribes of Reuven and Gad, who approach Moshe with this request, that they want to stay in this particularly fertile land that the nation had just conquered in the Transjordan. Manasseh is nowhere to be found. And there's a lengthy back and forth that takes place between Moshe and these tribes, and still, we don't hear from Manasseh. It is only at the very end, when Moshe is convinced and is willing to honor this request, that we're told, Vayitein lahem Moshe lebnei Gad v'lebnei Reuven v'lechatzi shevet Menashe, that Moshe is going to give this land to Reuven, Gad, and half of the tribe of Manasseh. So where was Manasseh this entire time? Where were they up until this point? Why is it that all of a sudden, at the very end, we suddenly get this appearance of the half of the tribe of Manasseh? The Ramban suggests that this was kind of an opportunistic play by Manasseh. They saw that Reuven and Gad were about to get a big swath of land for just two tribes, and Manasseh saw an opening, an opportunity, and they said, you know what, let's cast our lot with Reuven and Gad. Let's also try to capitalize on some of this very attractive land. That's one way of reading it. The Medrash actually takes the completely opposite approach and says this was not the decision of Manasseh, this was actually a punishment. Manasseh, this was thrust upon them. This was something that they were forced to do, and it was a punishment because generations earlier, Yosef and perhaps Manasseh himself caused the brothers to tear their clothing in the context of Yosef hiding his identity and causing his brothers to suffer, as he was the viceroy of Egypt. Right? We're familiar with the story from Sefer Bereshis. So in that context, he makes his brothers tear their clothing out of fear and sadness. And as a result, Manasseh now is torn in two. Manasseh's inheritance will kind of bear the sign of that rip, as half of the tribe will be in Israel, in Canaan, in the land of Israel proper, and half will be in the Transjordan. So according to that, we would view this not as an opportunistic play by Manasseh, but actually a punishment, quite the opposite. I think that there is a third approach, which I'd like to suggest, which finds itself really between these two extremes. It's not a reward, it's not a punishment. Having Manasseh divided, half within the land of Israel proper and half in the Transjordan, is actually a mission. It's a mission. Moshe Rabbeinu understood that there was a great danger of having Bnei Yisrael divided by a body of water, divided by the Yarden, and he saw that if this was going to be the enduring structure of the nation, it was likely that the people on one side of the Yarden would sort of drift away from the rest, that they would become untethered and become a unique and distinct people rather than preserving the unity of the nation. And so Moshe Rabbeinu makes a brilliant strategic decision. He says, I'll let you, Reuven and Gad, I'll let you stay on this side of the Yarden, but we need a bridge. Manasseh, you are going to be the bridge. You are going to have holdings on the western and eastern side of the Yarden. And in that way, you will ensure the integrity and the unity of our nation. Manasseh, this is not a reward. This is not a punishment. This is a mission. And I'll refer you to Perek Chaf Bet in Sefer Yehoshua to see just how quickly this mission of keeping both sides of the Yarden together becomes absolutely critical, proves absolutely essential. So you can look there to appreciate the brilliance of this decision that Moshe Rabbeinu makes. Today, Manasseh's mission is actually, it's really our mission. And it's an essential one, as the vast majority of world Jewry is divided not simply by the Yarden River, but by the Atlantic Ocean. And one need not be a very astute observer of American Jewry to appreciate the ways in which that American Jewry writ large, has grown largely unmoored from Israel, and the ways that, unfortunately, we continue to drift slowly but surely apart. Never Never has it been more critical for us to stand stalwart and determined to serve as that bridge and to continue to try every single day to tether together the people, our people, on both sides of this ocean, on both sides of the Atlantic. And if we do that, if we focus on that very important mission, so then we will be taking up the unique and critical mission that Moshe Rabbeinu, many centuries ago, thrust upon the shoulders of Shevet Menashe. I wish you and your families a very beautiful Shabbos.